Thank you for joining us here at 6:30. I'm Tom Lally. An Easter morning fire took the home of a Bardstown family today. They're thanking the Bardstown Fire Department for quick action, putting out the fire, and even saving their dog in the process. Connor Steffen is in Nelson County tonight.
Well, most wake up on Easter Sunday to go to Mass or spend time with family. For the Hicks here, they woke up to a house in flames. Jennifer Hicks says that it was around 8 this morning. She woke up, was getting ready for work, and then saw what she described as shadows of an orange flame. Her and her family did get out safely, though a few of their dogs had been left trapped inside. That's when she said first responders stepped into action.
When the firefighters got here, I just begged them to get my dog out. And they did. They went in just like she was a kid and brought her out and saved her life.
If you could tell that firefighter something.
Oh, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, for real, that's my child. Very grateful. I would love to meet the person that done it. It was just so much going on.
The family says the house is a total loss. They'll be spending the next few nights in an RV here on their property as they look to recover items lost. Though they say this made that much harder because they were waiting on a property appraisal tomorrow to get insurance. Neighbors have been coming in and out throughout the day donating to the family, which they say means the most to them. We'll be talking with that firefighter that saved a few of those dogs here later, but for now in Bardstown, Connor Steffen, WHAS 11 on your side.
And a house in Nichols, Kentucky burned to the ground late Friday. Nichols Fire says they responded to the fire late Friday night on Shabas Way. When crews arrived on scene, they found heavy smoke and high heat in a home they say had hoarding conditions. With the help of Shepherdsville Fire and Zonton Fire, they were able to take down the main fire with minimal extensions. A couple in Paducah, Kentucky are in custody after their children tested positive for drugs. Chriselle Burns and Jaquirin Burnside brought their 2-year-old daughter to the ER last week. She was lethargic, in and out of consciousness, and had trouble breathing. She then tested positive for cocaine, methamphetamine, oxycodone, marijuana, and fentanyl. Police then tested the 3-year-old who was positive for cocaine and marijuana. A 2-month-old also tested positive for cocaine, marijuana, and fentanyl. Then a 4th child is awaiting results. Burns turned herself in to local jail, and police arrested Burnside at the home. Both are facing multiple charges. Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb signed into law a ban on all gender-affirming care for minors this week. The measure blocks transgender youth from accessing medication or surgeries that aid in transition and mandate those currently taking medication to stop by the end of the year. The ACLU of Indiana has already filed a lawsuit against the legislation on behalf of 4 transgender youth and an Indiana doctor. They argue the ban violates the U.S. Constitution's equal protection guarantees, as well as federal laws against medical services.
The irony of this, of course, is that if you go to the legislature, you will hear the legislature talking about how we want to safeguard parents' rights. We want to make parents be able to decide what books are in libraries or what goes on in schools because parental rights are so important. Well, it's ridiculous to say on the one hand, you can decide if your children should be able to learn German, but you can't make necessary decisions for their medical care. That is a right that is fundamental to parents, and that has been absolutely stripped away from them.
Supporters of the legislation have contended the banned care is irreversible or carries side effects. They argue that an adult and not a minor's parent can consent to the treatments.
This isn't a spam call. I'm just calling to get your feedback on a few of the things I've already started to work on.
Thousands of Louisville residents may have gotten this phone call over the last week from a familiar voice, Congressman Morgan McGarvey. He's not waiting for constituents to reach out to him to learn what they want. Instead, he's going to fight for in Congress. McGarvey has been calling the community, asking them to answer short 2 to 3 minute surveys, hoping to learn what concerns them most. Around 4,000 Louisvillians have responded to his office's calls. Among the top concerns, cuts to Medicare and Social Security, inflation, and gun violence in schools.
We've joined an anti-gun violence caucus to work on some of these issues. We've signed on some legislation like banning assault weapons, trying to push this forward and trying to talk about it in a way that brings people together rather than push people apart, saying this is what matters to the people of my community in Louisville, Kentucky. And let's have an honest conversation about the fact that right now we have kids doing active shooter drills instead of tornado drills. And what can we do about it?
McGarvey says when he was in the state Senate, it was at times easier to have this kind of dialogue. People felt they could email or call at any time. He wants that same open relationship from the congressional office to the community here in Louisville. After years of setbacks, abortion rights supporters in Kentucky thought they achieved a breakthrough in November when voters defeated a measure aimed at denying any constitutional protections for abortion. But their hopes that the state's sweeping abortion ban might be relaxed vanished well before the GOP-dominated legislature ended its annual session. After years of making anti-abortion policies a cornerstone of their agenda, Republicans skipped over the issue this year. A handful of proposals to restore rights or add rape and incest exemptions failed to get committee hearings or assignments. GOP leaders say the legal uncertainty surrounding Kentucky's current ban is what led to bills not being heard.